Welcome to Out of the Noise podcast, a spiritual growth podcast. This podcast is about holding sacred space to help assist humanity to raise their consciousness through connection by having courageous conversations out of the noise of mainstream with heart-centered leaders, wisdom keepers, and divine humans expanding into their authenticity and soul purpose. We will explore spiritual concepts, practices, and shadow to deepen into your healing and the collective. Priestess Lilly is a medium, light activator, and heart-centered leader that is committed in raising the light frequency and consciousness here on Earth for us all. You can work with her and learn more by visiting www.priestesslily.com. Enjoy your spiritual learnings.
Welcome to Out of the Noise. I am Priestess Lilly, a channeler, sacred heart healer, and space holder. My purpose is to create content that helps humanity rise in consciousness through connection. I do this by facilitating courageous conversations that will leave you activated, alongside heart-centered leaders, wisdom keepers, and divine humans who are expanding into their authenticity and soul purpose. Together, we strive to assist a higher level of consciousness and help each other on our own spiritual journey. Today's beautiful guest needs no introduction. Suzy Cherb, an international award-winning psychic medium, published author, speaker, and intuitive coach. Her approach in combining intuition, mindfulness, and self-awareness, Suzy guides others to live an intuitive and conscious life. Her mission is to help soul-centered people create fulfilling relationships and bring a sense of passion, holistic balance, and authentic happiness to their lives. Awarded International Psychic of the Year, Australia 2014, Suzy has helped thousands of people worldwide through her psychic insights and healing messages. Today, Suzy uses her intuitive gifts by empowering and teaching others to develop their own gifts and live a more intuitive, spiritual life. Today's beautiful guest absolutely does not need any introduction. Suzy Cherb, who is someone that I have been in awe of for many, many years. And today she's coming to talk about her new Oracle deck. Welcome, Suzy.
Oh, welcome. It's an absolute joy and blessing and pleasure to be here. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me, my love.
Oh, no, thank you for reaching out. I love a good oracle. I'd have to say I'm a sucker for oracles. I've been using oracle cards since I was 18, so probably about 23, 24 years. And it's amazing how the world of oracle has expanded as we've grown.
It's absolutely beautiful, the world of the oracle. I love that there's so many magnificent different kind of decks out there. But yeah, absolutely. Same here. I've been working with the oracle for about the same amount of time. When I first started, though, I'd channel and, the beautiful recipients and clients would say to me, oh, okay, can you do a card reading as well? And I'd go, oh, okay, I can do a card reading. So then I developed this love for, oracle cards and the tarot. But I must admit, I kind of lean more towards the oracle side of things. So
it's amazing how just your deck, we're just talking about this beautiful deck, how much it has expanded in being an activation and a ritual.
Yes, it's a divination tool, but at the same time, there's beautiful faith in action steps, activations. There's the prophecy from the Oracle herself. And, I just love that it's an actual self-empowerment tool not just a divination tool. And I love divination tools, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it's, I love anything that's multi-layered, that really kind of, opens those portals for people to dig deeper and to go within to their own inner oracle and make it relevant and significant to them as well.
Absolutely. So I was reading the start of your oracle deck.
Yeah.
And you talk about this being something that you've been meaning to birth for years and years. And it's obviously a massive activation and a part of a journey for you. So did you want to talk about that? How did this come about?
I've always felt a really strong connection to the Oracle of Delphi, mainly because she is she was an earthborn, living, breathing, beautiful priestess at the Temple of the Sun, Apollo's temple. So I always felt this real connection to that part of the world, to that mythology, and to the beautiful Oracle herself. And then, of course, years later, wasn't a few years ago, actually, it was only before, the big C, a few years ago, I went to Greece, and then I just started communing with her, having that interactive, intuitive conversation with her. And I thought, oh my goodness, the timing is right to really dig deep and channel her beautiful messages, and just being in that energy, in her energy, in Greece itself, kind of, it's like, if not now, when? The timing is now to write this beautiful kind of oracle deck and to find an artist that really kind of understands my vision of the Oracle of Delphi. And of course I did. I found her. So,
I love that.
Put it out there and, it comes to you, right?
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, that's it, sister.
And so from the Oracle of Delphi, when you arrived in Greece, was it a past life remembrance? Did you be called to a past life and reclaim parts of yourself that from your soul particles that you might have left there before?
Absolutely. Now that's not in the book, so you must be psychic. Oh yes, without a doubt. Past life memories, that beautiful reawakening, that remembering, that feeling like I'm home, like what is going on. I feel a real connection to it, to the point, where I went back and looked up my family tree, and although my ancestry is very rich and blended and there's so many connections there, I couldn't quite find a kind of ancestral connection to Greece, although there may be one, right? But in saying that, it was more of a past life memory and that kind of real knowing in my soul, in my bones. I just kind of felt like, wow, yeah, absolutely. Visions, knowings, feelings, sensing like I'm home.
And I love that you call there's at the back of it, know thyself. And I think right now a lot of mystics, way showers, priestesses, intuitives, we're stepping into actually knowing another layer of ourselves.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely. Like, I think it's the divine time to really kind of take it to a whole new level of self-awareness, self-knowing, self-sovereignty, know thyself. And I just love that know thyself was encrypted on the Temple of the Sun. It was actually on the pillars as you walked up into the sanctuary of the Oracle of Delphi, the actual Temple of the Sun, and to me, that is just so powerful, that statement. And isn't it amazing when, the ancient wisdom merges with this new dimensional energy that we're going into, there is no time and space, wisdom is wisdom. And, I so agree with you. Absolutely. Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I love it. And when you say prophecies from the internal priestess,
yes,
tell the listeners what you're meaning, because everyone has a different idea of the word priestess. And obviously there's many different priestesses throughout the world that have embraced our shores. What do you mean? What do you mean by that, sister?
Yeah, well, to me, a priestess is a luminary. You know, a priestess is, you know, a leader of light, and not even necessarily in just spiritual arenas, but also, you know, in all arenas. We need, you know, awakened, amazing luminaries in all different walks of life. But the priestess to me is that beautiful, you know, leader of light, dedicated to self-growth, dedicated to lifting the vibration of the planet, dedicated to, you know, self-knowledge and self-awareness and an ever-evolving journey. The Oracle's prophecy is directly from the Oracle of Delphi. So I was channeling the Oracle of Delphi, and yeah, there was more than one Oracle of Delphi too, by the way, but there was a really, really famous one that seemed to get all of her predictions very right. They were accurate, you know, and that, you know, but there was many oracles of Delphi. So it's more of a position, a revered position. Yeah. So the oracle's prophecy is more me channeling her prediction. The priestess, and of course she was a priestess, to me is a leader of love, a leader of light, someone that understands that it's an ever-evolving journey. You never really arrive, you know, thyself is a lifetime journey. So, you know, that humble, beautiful kind of devotion to spirit of this ever-evolving journey, yeah?
And I think that's really important, you know, when we start to look at that ever-evolving journey and start to make our life like the living prayer, the move, you know, the moving and flow of the living prayer, of we are the living prayer.
I just got tingles. I love the living prayer. You know, embody it, be it, you know, through osmosis, through the ripple effect. Focus on your own spiritual being and it ripples out. And, you know, I love that, a living prayer. I really love embodiment work. Like even in the booklet, there is that whole body prayer, you know, that I do each morning and each night. Usually at sunset, usually at sunrise, that, you know, that embodiment of spirit, you know, be it, walk it, you know, I know you do, like, you know, walk your truth, you know, it doesn't mean you walk around being, a spiritual guru the whole time. It just means that, you know, you have beautiful spiritual practices that bring you home to your own wisdom, to your own beautiful temple. Yeah.
And I think that's really important, what you've said, because embodiment, you know, when we talk about spirituality, for so long it was like people didn't want to be physically in their body. You know, we wanted to be reaching for higher realms, you know, we wanted not to be connected to our emotions, be, you know, and over the time, over years and years and years, there's been many things that have come through that, you know, to be enlightened, you know, we're searching for something outside of ourselves, when really it's actually inside ourselves. When we think about embodiment, which is what we're journeying through right now as a collective consciousness, it's about being fully embodied, feeling the feels, you know, the night and the day, the shadow and the light. This is what we're actually ascending to, being more whole.
Yes, and anchoring the energy to the earth, to the here and now. You know, when I first started on my spiritual journey, I'd go to these beautiful trance-like meditation groups and, you know, we'd fly out of our body and it felt amazing, and we'd go off on these beautiful astral kind of trips and, you know, It felt kind of wonderful, but really, it took me a while to realize that the important part is, anchoring it into the here and now, and doing that beautiful embodiment work. And I love that you brought that up. Absolutely. And I was so disconnected from my body for so many years. Being an intuitive, I much preferred the higher chakras, right? The crown chakra, the third eye, but really when you feel into your body, your psychic senses are enhanced, because your psychic senses travel through that beautiful conduit of the physical senses. So, not only are we kind of like in the here and now, and we're calling it in, I think also, it's that incredible kind of like feeling it. Yeah. Like feel it to heal it, be in your body. There's no right or wrong. There's no good or bad. We have light, we have shadow, and that beautiful sacred duality. I just love what you've said there. I so resonate with that. It's so important to anchor the light. Yeah.
And I think that's what we're learning right now more than ever, is how can we anchor more light into the world, and how can and recall back our soul's residence. And I think this is what you've done here beautifully with this Oracle deck.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
It has the most magical vibration to it that, and it's expansive. It's expansive energy of where the collective is heading in its soul particles, is what I want to say. And I think that's really important, because
I love that. It's like an opulent energy.
Yeah. That's what it
and
feels
why not?
Like to me. That's what it feels like to me.
Why not? I think we're healing the wounds of, you have to be poor to be spiritual. I think it's important.
We've got to stop that one.
We've got to stop that crazy crap, right? Absolutely. I think we're kind of dissolving all those soul contracts that we had in regards to, that kind of, I think, yeah, you're right. We've moved on from that, thank goodness. But yeah, it's really important to me that the deck felt lush, opulent, sacred, I'm very tactile because I'm very clairsentient. So I love, an oracle card to feel like that, velvet of the night sky, that suede, that kind of beautiful quality. I love that, because the Oracle of Delphi, so the Oracle of Delphi was the priestess, but she was also, it is also a temple, a sanctuary. So it gets very confusing. And then the Oracle is an actual card deck as well. So, and then I call myself an oracle. So I think that's what you were getting at before, in regards to what does that mean? It can mean so many different things, but I think because the actual sanctuary of the sun, Apollo's temple, was golden. It was actually encased in gold. The statues that they thought were living, that had living energy, by the way, the statues were encased in gold. So it had a very opulent, lush, that kind of luxe kind of feeling. So it made sense that the cards had that kind of same opulent, sacred kind of tactile feeling. So when you mentioned that, I thought, I love that you've picked that up. Yeah.
And I find it fascinating. Well, not fascinating but we're moving into this. We're moving into the solar rays, the sun.
Oh, yeah, I know. And I know that you and I both love elemental magic and, the energies of the earth and the cosmos. And you're absolutely right. It's like the Water Temple Oracle came out, when there was a massive energy of water. Unfortunately, the floods, but also, that beautiful cleansing and clearing of the earth. Okay. Yeah. And you're so right. The solar rays, that beautiful energy. I'm a moon lover, but I'm also a sun lover. And I really feel like, energetically, the solar rays are coming through very strongly for us at the moment, burning away old paradigms, old ways old ways of being that no longer serve us. You know, let's burn away the old way of thinking and come into that unity, that collective consciousness.
Yeah, and it's just the soul, when I feel into the solar rays, and this being a sun temple, you know, the sun temple, it's very much for me about everything that you just said, but it's also about bringing more light, rising our consciousness into more of a higher frequency of light consciousness, of actually us, unified consciousness. Everything you shared, like, we're moving into where some things, you know, took years for it to have the ripple effect. It feels like now everything is just on steroids and on fast forward.
There's a quickening.
Yeah.
We've had a few years of crumbling.
Yeah.
And with the crumble, with the breakdown, which is really a massive breakthrough, although we're not there yet, but we're
getting there.
You know, there is a quickening. I absolutely agree with that. And lifting that vibration and calling in the light and being conduits and channels for the light. And when I say the light, you know, I also mean, you know, sacred duality as well, but it really is like raising that vibration. So exactly, you've got it. You've got it. That's it. Love it.
And with this deck, gorgeous girl,
yeah,
for someone that's new to the whole world of Oracle that's listening to this,
yes,
because there will be some of those beautiful divine humans that are becoming curious. What would you say to them? How would you say to them to use it? Use it as a tool every morning, or how would you?
Oh, that's a really good point. You know, like it sounds like an advanced system, but really this Oracle will meet you wherever you are on your journey. You know, there is no hierarchy. We're all equal.
That's right. Love that you've said that. There's no guru.
There's no guru. Well, you are your own guru, right? And guru actually means calling in the light, by the way. If you look up the meaning of guru, it means calling in the light. So, oh my goodness, I love the synchronicity. And the synchronicities with you. It's amazing. You can't make this up. Absolutely. So what would I say to them? I'd say to them that it is a tool. It does help you develop your own intuition. I would, you know, if you want to deepen your connection to an oracle, you know, maybe pull a card a day. Read the generic meaning, but also dive deeper into your own inner vision, your own inner wisdom, and make it relevant and significant for you. And when you understand the deck and you get a real feel for it, it really expands your confidence as well, your psychic confidence, because you know the deck so well that when you pull a card, you go, oh, I know what that means. But then I encourage you to dive deeper, to make the message more profound for you, right? So, you know, I want the oracle to be a companion, to be a tool. It never takes away from your own wisdom. You know, the very last card in this deck is one of my favourite philosophers, Socrates. And we had a chat about this earlier, but, you know, he often said that true wisdom is, you know, making up your own mind, deciding what resonates with you. So the last thing I want is for you to follow the oracle blindly. You know, it's good to have faith, but self-faith, not blind faith. That's the difference. And spirituality, to me, you know, Suzy has Suzy spirituality, Lilly has Lilly spirituality. You and I seem to have a very similar spirituality. But I think it's really important that you find what works for you, because every path leads to the absolute, to the one, you know, to the one, to the source, to the God, to the, you know, the infinite, to the divine, to the creator, whatever word you want to use. That energy is the same as far as I'm concerned. You might have a different take on that, but yeah.
No, I believe the same. I believe absolutely the same, that everyone just has just a different interchangeable word for it.
Yes. Yes.
But we're all,
and you know,
we're all, you know, walking the same walk to the same
to the same result, or we're hearing from the same inner knowing, you know?
Yeah. You know, you do you be you, you know, find your own spirituality. We're multidimensional beings. So, we need to have that physical, mental, emotional, spiritual connection to feel whole. And whatever that is for you. Yeah. So, yeah, the oracle's just a tool for you to know thyself, right?
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think that's what, for so long, we've looked outside of ourselves.
I love that you say that. We give our power away, to all sorts of things, and I think it's so important to reclaim our own sovereign power, our own free thought, our own, the gift of free will, it's good to be inquisitive and ask questions. I think it's important to make up your own mind, and this oracle will encourage that. So, of course it has, card meanings and the oracle's prophecy and suggested rituals and activations and empowerment messages and all of that. But at the end of the day, the Oracle of Delphi will encourage you to embrace your own sovereign priest or priestess, yeah?
And I think that's really important, because when we think of the word sovereignty, I mean, I've gone on my own journey around sovereignty for the last couple of years, and every year I pick a word. And
I do too.
Yeah, a couple of years ago it was sovereignty, then it was freedom. This year it's wisdom. So I've been deepening into this whole wisdom in my voice. I think sovereignty is one of those words that is so individual to everyone. And, we've had, obviously, over the big C, and sovereignty was a big conversation point, especially in New Zealand for the last probably couple of years. It's interesting how I believe that we are rebirthing another layer of sovereignty, of sovereign self.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally believe that when we look at, your oracle, and the whole priestess energy, we're actually expanding into another vibrational frequency of...
Yes, yeah.
I don't want to say what words are, but what we are.
Yes. So definitely an expanded energy. I think we've had a few years of contraction.
Absolutely.
And contraction is not good for anybody's health, anybody's well-being, and I'm talking spiritual well-being as well. Absolutely, I feel like we're going into an expanded energy that really is lifting the energy, and I think, self-governing energy of it really is just self-awareness. And you and I are both very collaborative. We believe in community. We believe in, bringing community together. Not, separating communities, right? But in saying that, so of course, we're team players, we don't want to poke the bear if the bear doesn't need poking. But at the same time, I think it's important that it's okay to ask questions and to be inquisitive, because that's actual learning. That's how you learn. I think children should be encouraged at school to ask more questions, to go, oh, that doesn't sit quite right with me. I remember having those kind of insights when I was at school, and yeah, I think it's good. I encouraged it with my own kids, and it was okay for them to disagree with me. We don't all have to have the same, take on everything. I think it's important that we have objectivity. Objectivity is important. So absolutely, totally agree.
And that's interesting, because that comes back to the whole priestess energy, which what you said right from the start. Priestess energy is about leadership. And
leadership.
You can't have leadership if you can't ask questions.
Yeah, and being a leader of your own life. It doesn't mean you're necessarily going to run a massive organisation, or you're going to necessarily run your own business, or maybe you do all of those things, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, being the leader in your own sphere, you know, deciding what you want, deciding what you truly want so others aren't deciding for you. You know, it's okay to go, no, thank you, that's not quite resonating with me. Or yes, you know, knowing what your no is, what your yes is, what your why is, what your core values are, aligning everything to your core values and your, whatever that is, you know, I think it's good. And respecting other people's choices as well. You know, we don't all have to agree on everything.
Well, that's what makes us that's for me is where that comes back to we're all living on the same planet. We need to show respect, be respectful of each other. And that's kind of the value that we've kind of got a bit lost in you know, it's got a bit like,
Anything that creates separation is that low vibrational, and that's why it really irritates us so much, because you know, our soul knows that we are truly one, you know, scientifically, spiritually, you know, we're all one energy, but for some unknown reason, as humans, there needs to be borders, separation.
I know, isn't it crazy?
You know, whatever it is, right? Yeah.
I'm curious to know, what's your favourite card in the deck?
Ooh.
What's your
do you know, my adult children laugh at me because I always have a new favourite, by the way. I have a new favourite deck. I have a new favourite card. Yeah, that's a really good point because, yeah, isn't it funny that I can't answer that? Oh, do you know what it is? It's like your children. It's hard. You know, with your children, you say, oh, I don't really have favourites. It's that kind of, they feel like my children. So it's like when you ask that question, of course I have a favourite on any given day, but it's like, oh, which one would that be? Last week it was the devotee because it's on the back of the booklet. And I kind of love that self-devotion, like, you know, that beautiful kind of self-dedication. I love that energy. So that was kind of a card that really jumped out at me. I really resonate with the mystic because I see myself as a modern day mystic. And, do you know what card I really absolutely love is the Love Maker card.
Oh, I love the picture for that.
I love her. I love her. She's actually a friend of the artist, Briley, and I think she's got beautiful Indonesian heritage, and she's just so vivacious and voluptuous, and I want to use the word juicy because it's kind of like a juicy card. And it's the Love Maker card, and the little kind of catchphrase is, a loving heart is the ultimate form of wisdom. Expressing, attaining, and exemplifying love brings an unending cycle of ecstatic bliss. And it's just, I love the big orange kind of bright red rose and the light codes and the beautiful serpents and the golden energy coming in. And, I think that's probably my new favourite today. That's my favourite today, the Love Maker.
And I'm also curious to know, because I'm being told to ask you this.
Yes.
What was the card that came through as the biggest surprise for you to channel? That was the hardest message for you to receive?
Ooh, gosh, you ask good questions.
Or the most challenging?
You ask such great questions. The most challenging one. Hecate comes to mind, but I adore Hecate, by the way. Hecate comes to mind because, you know, I think at the time I was having my own crossroad moment, my own decision-making, you know, which way do I go? And then Hecate came through and, you know, being that beautiful torchbearer, you know, and what she'll do is she'll make you dive deep into your shadow and release any limiting beliefs or fear, or she'll help you alchemize that. So, yeah, that was probably because when I write an oracle deck, I go on that spiritual journey myself. So some cards are harder to write than others. And you know, the interesting thing is that's such a great question. And I'll tell you why, because as you write a card, that's usually where you are at on your own personal journey. So if I'm going through something and then I'm writing the Hecate card, you know, and she is the way shower, but, you know, I love Hecate with her, you know, her light and shadow. She's just, you know, she's just beautiful. Yeah, that was a challenging card to write because I was going through my own crossroad moment, I guess. So, yeah, and working through some stuff, releasing, because you and I both know it doesn't matter how much beautiful personal spiritual growth you do, there's always more to do. It's like that onion, it's layer upon layer. And yeah, at that time I was going through my own dark night of the soul, and here I am writing the Hecate card. So it was a card that took a bit longer to write.
Yeah, I totally know. I know that when I have moments, you know, when I'll be greeted by Isis or you know, feel the energy coming in of something, that I ignore it because I go, oh, I know what you want me to do, and there's an element of fear, and it sometimes takes me a little bit. And when we spoke about this with my book that I'm writing, you know, and in my coaching session,
yes,
it takes me a little bit because there's that element of resistance of the ego rather than you actually falling into it.
Yes, and you know, the way you explain the resistance of the ego, I had my own aha moment, because it's like, yeah, you have to work through that resistance, you know, and that's an opportunity to release any kind of paradigms, limiting beliefs, you know, fear, ego, kind of like the ego going, you know, you're not good enough, or who are you to say that, or, you know, like, you know, whatever it might be. We all go through it. Yeah, absolutely.
And what was your intention? Because obviously when we channel, and I know this for myself, that when we start to channel right or channel something into the world, and we start that whole birthing process of, you know, our gift or whatever it is that we're birthing, what was your intention? What was your intention for this deck? Because we don't just create things because we just feel like we need to create them. What's your intention for the receiver and for the, you know, with birthing this into the world, for it to be how is it to be perceived?
Interesting. Yes, definitely that beautiful kind of self-empowerment tool. The know thyself, you know, I know we've spoken about it, but to me, I think it's probably the most important message of that ongoing spiritual growth. But really remembering and coming home to your own inner temple, trusting, having that self-trust in regards to your own intuition as well, healing, you know, that beautiful ancient energy of the goddess, and bringing it through in a really diverse way. And it is, you know, primarily a goddess deck, but there's also the beautiful awakened sacred masculine in there too. Because I think it's important to have that diversity. I love bringing through the divine spirit guides in a way, you know, where they're not all just, you know, they're all of different ages, different sizes, it's very diverse too. So for me, it's important that it comes through with diversity, and everybody can see themselves within that deck too. So I guess I'm one of my biggest higher purposes, I guess, is kind of like bringing people together in regards to that beautiful diversity and unity, that unity message as well. I think that's important. But for the individual, it's more enhancing your own wisdom, your own intuitive gifts, opening up portals of your own spirituality, if you like. But also, obviously too, you know, what I love about the Oracle, ask a question and you'll get an answer. I much prefer doing psychic readings, and I still do them today, where people have a question. And if people ask me a question, this is how I know it's past life memory. Because when people ask me a question, I will get a direct answer. So if someone was to say to me, okay, what's the timeline on that? It's hard to pinpoint time exactly because time is an illusion. I get it. But if someone was to say to me, okay, is that going to happen in, this year or next year? I'd go, well, it's not days or weeks. It's not years. It feels like months to me. I'll get an answer. And I actually like that way of doing things in regards to being a psychic. I love it when people have an intention of focus, but actually ask a real question and go, I will get an answer. So this oracle, ask a question and you will get an answer. And then the priestess will encourage you to dive deeper and make that answer more relevant to where you're at on your own spiritual journey.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Because for so long we don't take, I've always said that this year is the vibration of spiritual maturity, self-responsibility, and us deepening into our knowing. And, when you just said what you said, that just screams that vibration to me, where we're starting to deepen into our own sacred practice rather than look for solutions out here.
Yes. So mote that be, I tell you, that's so beautiful. Absolutely. I think the timing's right to really step into your own light of love, to decide what really makes your heart sing. It's more potent if you can feel into it. If it doesn't feel quite right, it doesn't have that potency. I think it's important to, of course, all spirituality has some form of storytelling or dogma or whatever you want to call it, right? But in saying that, I think it's important to really ask yourself the big questions and get your own wisdom coming through. And the priestess will teach you that because she had a cohort of priestess sisters. She wasn't on her own. She had a circle of sisters, and everyone was equal within that circle. Everyone had wisdom to share within that circle. Everyone's wisdom was relevant and important. And then, of course, you're going to love this. Then she had a cohort of priests that their only job was to support the Pythia, the Oracle of Delphi, the Priestess of Delphi, and her gorgeous sisters. So that was their job. They would support her, look after her, make sure she had everything she needed. They were there for her. So it was a complete reversal to what we're used to.
Which is where we're getting back to.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that they were, inferior or they had an inferior position. It meant that their devotion was to the Oracle of Delphi. They looked after her. So it's like the sacred masculine supporting the divine feminine in an equal way, not in a kind of I don't know. I just feel that, I love bringing that energy through too because I think it's important for little girls all over the planet to feel like the holy child, to feel, important as well. Because, a lot of mainstream religions, and there's nothing against them, but the holy child is always that little boy. You think Jesus, Muhammad, Krishna, beautiful, beautiful, but they're all gorgeous little boys, right? I think it's important that, the sacred, beautiful goddess, the feminine, is brought up to be in alignment so that we have that beautiful sacred balance. And it's happening. It's still not quite there, but it's happening, and there's a quickening, as you said earlier, which I love, that quickening.
Yeah. Definitely. So what other projects, sister, are you birthing into the world?
Top secret projects. I think I probably told you. Not really. Like I've got, how I said to you, I feel a real strong connection to the moon. I'm working on a project at the moment that is that beautiful moonology, that beautiful lunar divination, working on a beautiful kind of enchanted garden type project, and which is, you know what it is. It's all these different aspects of myself. I think, with creatives, it's so important that you create what really sings to your soul, because it will always be far more powerful if you do that. If you try and rehash what everyone else is doing, or and of course we all get our information from the same collective, higher mind. I get it, but what I'm getting at is, make it really unique to how you bring it through. Yeah. So working on lots of really juicy, sacred, beautiful projects. I love collaboration. I love co-creative energies. I love working with others. It's really important to me that I do that. Relationships aren't always easy, but together, everyone does really, truly achieve more. So it's about coming together and, creating and birthing beautiful kind of collaborations out into the world. And it's my way of doing my little bit to lift the vibration, Yeah.
Oh, you definitely are lifting the vibration, sister.
As are you, my love.
There's no
as are you.
About that. So for those that are listening, how do they get their hot little hands on one of these decks, sister?
Yeah, well, it's hot off the press, so it's newly released. It will be widely distributed and progressively all over the globe, and but at the moment, the best way, the most reliable way is actually through the Blue Angel website, which is my wonderful publisher. They're so supportive and amazing. And yeah, that's probably the best way to get your hot little hands on it for now. Although I spoke to a beautiful French client that ordered one from here, and it hasn't even made it over there yet, and it will. And, fingers crossed, and it usually does get translated into French as well. So, so at the moment, eventually it'll be in, Big W department stores. It'll be on Amazon. It will be on Booktopia. It'll be on all, I like all the little kind of local esoteric shops too. I love going to all the local esoteric shops we've got, and, making sure that, I like to kind of, I love going into all the little shops too. And yeah, so it's widely distributed, but it is early days. So you might have to just kind of look on Blue Angel for now. Yeah.
Awesome. Sister, before we end our beautiful call, I'm going to throw you under the bus. I'd love you to pick a card for the readers.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that. So I'm just shuffling these cards now and just infusing these cards with golden solar rays. Let's call in a collective message that will be uplifting, transformative, and relevant to the here and now. Just shuffling, taking a card from the top. Oh, beautiful. You're not going to believe this. This was the card today that was on my Instagram. Oh, wow. So isn't that interesting that she's coming through so strongly, not just for your beautiful listeners, but also for, she is the advocate. The words are reconcile, uphold, adjudicate, and balance. And it's beautiful goddess Themis. Isn't she gorgeous? And she's got the scales in one hand and her golden sword of light in the other. She's standing in the most magnificent portal archway. She's got the most magnificent roses and a beautiful kind of temple to the back of her, and that gorgeous golden light coming through. And I really feel like the collective message is standing in your own divine light and, deciding what you truly want in life, and also having the courage to speak up for, for causes that really make sense to you. It's important that you speak your truth as well. It is a message of balance as well. So, she's encouraging you to create balance in your life, but to also see that, sad and mad isn't bad. It's simply sad and mad. And I think it's important to, do that beautiful shadow work and create sacred balance as well in your own realms. So it's a really beautiful message. It is a message of divine justice and divine balance and sacred duality. And I love that she's always, portrayed with the blindfold. And why is she portrayed with the blindfold? It's so that she isn't biased, but also it's because your intuitive sight is far more reliable than your physical sight. So if we're all in the same room together, we're all experiencing the same situation differently. So it's very much trusting in your own inner vision, trusting in your own inner wisdom, and, creating that beautiful sacred balance, asking the right questions, being inquisitive, going within to your own inner oracle and creating that balance within. It's a beautiful message, yeah?
I love it.
Collective.
Yay! I absolutely love it. Totally appropriate too.
And I think I explained to you too that the ancient Greeks believed that their statues had an energetic imprint, that they actually had an essence and an energy. So they believed their statues were living kind of beings. Does that make sense? So, and of course everything has an energy. But yeah, so you'll see a few magnificent statues throughout the Oracle of Delphi deck because they truly believed that their statues weren't just a lump of stone, that they embodied the energy of that particular divine deity. So, yeah.
Love it.
There she is. Yeah.
That is such a powerful card. Thank you, Suzy, for making the time to come on the podcast and sharing your wisdom with the world at a time when it is so needed.
And thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute blast. Some really juicy questions. I loved being here. I feel so grateful and very honoured to be on your beautiful podcast. And I love your podcast. I have listened to it. I tend to do a podcast binge where I sit down and kind of like listen to a whole heap at once, usually when I'm writing or, and I love your podcast. It's amazing. I love that you tackle some of the tricky kind of questions. And yeah, so I just feel so thankful that we've met, that we've come into contact with each other, and I absolutely love and adore everything you're doing. So thank you, my love.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzy.